Well, Jamie Pringle is a reader in forensic geosciences at Keene University, joins us now. Jamie, let's start with these noises that were detected by one of the Canadian aircraft, the banging noises. The obvious hope is that it's passengers inside the sub banging on the hull. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's difficult to be definitive about what was causing those noises. The positive part of that is they were that 30 minutes between a series of bangs, which makes you more hopeful. It's not just a surface or submarine propellers, which will be continuous. It could be due to other vessel searches. Could be some intermittent fault in something else. So we're not sure, but those noises obviously they're hopeful for, and they're trying to triangulate their positions or the source of that, as you probably read about earlier, which they've now widened that search.
Yeah, the searchers are using sonobuoys, sound devices, to try and pinpoint underwater noises. But they were saying that actually the ocean is a very noisy place. So it's not as simple as just listening out for what could be the location of the submersible.
That's right. And if you remember the 2017 Argentinian submarine, San Juan, they had noises from there, and they were hopeful, but that turned out not to be the case from the submarine itself. So you have to temper the optimism, but I guess you could argue it's better than no noises at all. And they're likely to come from the near surface. Those sounds. It's unlikely they can come all the way from the bottom of the ocean. So that's a positive thing, I think.
OK, let's talk about the amount of oxygen left. Again, a lot of focus on the fact that at the moment they've got less than 20 hours. I think the timeline is that they, on that assumption, they're due to run out on Thursday morning. But actually, the amount of oxygen they've got left is going to depend on several factors, isn't it?
Yes, I'm not a physiologist, and you could talk to those experts, and there are ways to conserve oxygen by obviously not moving around, trying to keep calm, breathing shallowly, not panicking. I mean, you can only imagine, can't you? But there are experienced people in there who can give guidance to the more tourist elements in that party. So you'd hope they're trying to do everything they can to survive as long as they can, and I hope they get rescued.
So tell us about the difficulties of the search. The US Coast Guard obviously pointing out it's an extremely complex situation. It depends on currents, it depends on weather conditions, it depends on the movement of the sea.
That's right, exactly. The ocean is not just one big big bowl of water. It's full of different currents, as you mentioned, different layers. And if it's floating freely, it can be moving quite a long way away from that initial down and up survey that they were going to do on the Titanic itself. So it could be near the surface, just not being able to be heard, as a previous commentator talked about. Could be deeper in the water column, drifting around, or worst case, as you mentioned, it could be at the bottom of the ocean, and that's very inhospitable area. It's not super flat and fine grained. A lot of the bottom of the ocean floor is more rugged than mountains above the sea. So it could be stuck in a canyon thing, and it could be in the debris field of the Titanic itself if it was around that area. And then it's even more hard to find because you're trying to find a little sub in lots of debris of the ship and its contents.
So I suppose the best case scenario is that they find it bobbing around on the surface. The worst case scenario that it's 4,000 meters down. If it's that, how difficult is it going to be to extract it from the seabed?
Yeah, and again, best case scenario, you probably noticed those pipe laying vessels that have appeared on site, which is great. So they're very experienced at working almost at those depths, I would imagine, with those remote operated vehicles. So you can imagine it's got maybe tangled up a little bit and they can't untangle themselves. So the ROV could find it, and then it could try and untangle it and hopefully help it to the surface. Obviously, with the time frame remaining, it's critical that that's done as soon as possible and moving up to be unbolted when they get to the surface, as I mentioned.
Jamie, thank you very much indeed for talking us through the issues involved there. Jamie Pringle.